नमस्कार, आप सभी का एक बार पुनः स्वागत है। मैं हूं राहुल और आप देख रहे हैं eVidya चैनल्स और NCERT का ऑफिशियल यूट्यूब चैनल। This is the time when we bring you the live telecast of Sahyog session in which we talk about mental well-being and mental wellness of our adolescents. And today we are going to discuss a very important topic, which is media violence and its effect on mental health. This is the topic of today's Sahyog. On this topic, we are going to have a discussion with the content. We have two panelists in today's Sahyog session. You can also be a part of this live interactive session. If you would like to ask any questions, any queries, you can dial 8800440559. This is the number. And we have Dr. Tehseen Taj. She is the assistant professor from our Regional Institute of Education, Mysuru. Dr. Tehseen, namaskar and a very warm welcome in the session.
Namaskar, thank you.
And we have Dr. Karibasappa CN as a practicing counselor in today's session. Dr. Karibasappa, namaskar, good evening and a very warm welcome.
Namaskar, sir. Thank you.
So these two panelists will be with us for the next 30 minutes, so don't go away, keep watching, because we are going to start this wonderful topic of Sahyog, media violence and its effect on mental health. So let's begin. To understand what is this topic, to understand this topic, I would like to invite on screen Dr. Tehseen. What is media violence? How we can understand this subject?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, so much for provoking this question. Let us in this today's session, we will understand what is media violence and how it is affecting on mental health, especially about the children. So before going to what exactly the media violence and all, let us first understand the meaning of a violence. So anyhow, we can see violence as which is defined by WHO is the intentional use of physical force or power which threatened against oneself, like some another person, against group or community, that either results it has a high likelihood of resulting in injury or death or some psychological harm, deprivation also. Without our knowledge, every day we are bombarded with various aggressions through media. So when media has a significant influence on adults, it is obvious that children who are at impressionable age are also sensitized to being influenced by such content. So like watching, so you might have observed in this picture, you are of course I think you are observing the two children are watching in a in a TV, they are fighting and they are sitting and they are watching, and after watching of that program it might be affect that the children after watching that program they will start quarreling. So how we have watched, there might be the chances of aggression in their real life also. So we may not always be aware of how this process occurs. This is due to priming, a subconscious tendency to be which affected by stimuli that was watched previously. So as how the children are watching, and in another image also it is showing that it is like using of guns, shooting, and the same time the children also they want to use that guns and they want to play with that because they have watched that, so it will be badly affected on the children health. And children and adults, those who watch violence in media are likely to experience the more aggressive thoughts and engage in a media violent behavior. We can see although 60% of television shows watched by children contain violent, 40% of it has a high level of violence. The children being an active participant in the video games and violence accounting for 90% of. In fact, you might have seen most of the games that are that initially they will start and last only there should be a death game or something. You have to kill someone. And then really when it comes subconsciously, it will be affect to a child health, child mental health, and he too started like that. I want to play a game in my real life and I want to play like this game. So moreover, media violence includes all forms of mass communication. If you want to just identify what are all the media violence are there, it will be depict that threat to use force, the act of which using force consequences, which against animate being like it may be including cartoons, characters, or any forms of media, including TV programs also, movies, video games, comics, books, and music. So more than 5 decades of scientific data, which has led to irrefutable conclusion that exposure to violent media increasing aggression among the children. So media has the potential to influence its masses. Like when contents such as body shaming and glorification of a fair skin and hype related to sexual acts and stalking. So, moreover, as there are not such portrayed in a responsible manner, but it can lead to hazardous implication among children. Moreover, violence in the media is an area that needs a lot of attention, and so we can see lot of media violence effects, exposure to media, like undesirable effects. So one of the effect is people who consume a lot of violent media, they become less sympathetic. They don't have much patience. They show like aggressive behaviors, and they will become very desensitized by however the time is consuming, they will become more aggressive. And even when it is starting initially stage of the children, when they start watching of like this kind of program, they will become more aggressive, and they will not cope up with emotionally well strong, they will not can be identified. So in addition to that, desensitizing people to the effect of violent media, and also increase aggressive thoughts. Media also increase aggressive feelings. So most importantly, exposure to violent media also make people act more aggressively towards others.
Madam,
Yes. Yes, sir.
So you are done with the media violence, Dr.
Yes,
Taj?
sir.
Thank you very much for this introduction, and to bring into our notice that how exactly we can understand media violence. Let's move ahead. We have Dr. Karibasappa as a practice counselor in today's Sahyog session. So the next question arises here: what are the causes of media violence? As a counselor, would you please enlighten us?
Can you move the slide, please? Okay. Like before going to this topic, I would like to give you an analogy. Let us say you are going in a street, it's full of sweet shops, and sweets are displayed really beautifully, and smells are coming, and shop people are advertising. So as a person, your emotions are heightened, and the next thing is going to be you are thinking of buying sweets or tasting the sweets. So the next action is going to be you are going to buy the sweets. Taking this as an analogy, like here, like I would like to talk about how vulnerable we are for the media violence. Like, so different shops here represents the violence is, as Dr. Taj told, that violence is increased in the media, like display of the violence. It doesn't mean that violence was not there, but it was there. But the displaying and the channels availability or the accessibility of the violence is more nowadays. So the violence in the media we cannot change. We don't have any control, but we can see how vulnerable we are. So as I told you the analogy, the sweet shops are like how many media tools, like different kinds of tools, and you are in the sweets road, so accessibility is very easy. Nowadays, there are different types of media, as already Dr. Taj explained, from newspaper, comic book, TV, and radio, internet, laptop, cell phone, all those things are available very easily, different kinds. And the another one is they are affordable. The next one is accessibility. And children can access everywhere, at home, at school, and in society. There are many shops are there, like gaming shops and internet shops. At home, every home has at least more than 2 to 3 mobiles, and also laptop and TV. TV is the very common thing, and laptop, iPad, all those things are available to the children. And another one important thing, the content. We don't have any control over the content. The internet content, media, like on the TV, on the movies especially, and also comic book, video games. These contents are inappropriate for children. At the same time, no doubt there are also some of the things are inappropriate for adults also. So these contents are going to influence, one is our emotions, second one is it's going to be how you think, and when these two are influenced, the act is going to be how you are going to act, or the behavior is going to modify, and it is not justifiable. Whatever the media violence we are seeing on the media, it is not justifiable or related to real life. So the content is also one of the important factors. The third one is time spent. There are many research on content and the time spent which are correlated to expression or the media, which are correlated, positively correlated with the aggressive behavior or the violent behavior. So time spent is also one of the important things which is going to cause the mental health issue, especially aggressive behavior or thinking aggressively or violent behavior. Then I have given here home, school and society. These are the places nowadays availability is very easy. The third one is, think about if you are going with like a child is going with a father or a mother, the buying or accessibility of the sweet is going to be controlled. But think about the vulnerability or the, watching media violence or the content, accessibility of the content is going to increase if nobody is monitoring you. Like unmonitored situation, that is also cause increasing accessibility of the media violence. At the same time, for adult, if a man is going with a wife, definitely wife is going to control accessibility. Okay, can you move to, and one more thing. Nowadays, the media is running on the popularity, and media is also running on the artificial intelligence. So when a person is going to access on, especially on the internet, any violent content, the artificial intelligence is going to set your accessibility. Like next time if you open, you are going to automatically see some of the violent content. So that is running on the rate. Highly rated, they are going to display it more. The next one is going to be a person himself. A person might be a tendency to aggressive, like by birth. Some of the things, the research also shows some of them are aggressive by birth. That is also increase the vulnerability to access the media violence. And parents, the many parents or the many families love to watch action or violent content along with the children. That environment definitely influence children to access or inclined towards media violence or watching the media violent content. Peer membership to online groups. Peer pressure, especially children, friends at school, they are doing like video games are the one of the most important thing. Online video game, they share each other, participate each other. So at the same time, they have a membership group online, which they communicate or play some of the violent games, also access the violent content. It is also influence media, accessing media violence are vulnerable to access or influence to watch media violence. And the community is also one of the important thing, where you are living and the community, how it is also going to influence if in your community lot of internet cafes and your community also shows some of the aggressive behavior. So at that time, it influences a child to access more violent content from the media. The next one is, right now in our country, we don't have very strict control over the violent or the inappropriate content in the media. Whenever you open any newspaper or any radio, TV, anything, we can see at least every day some type of media content. So these are the important things significantly influence access of the media violence or influence children or adults vulnerable for media violence. And the effects of these, Dr. Taj is going to discuss about the effects.
Right, right. Thank you very much. As you rightly mentioned about, there is no strict censorship over this OTT platforms or such kind of content development teams. It is the matter of concern for everyone nowadays, because easily available media on phone. Nowadays, our children, are using mobile phones for their academics. Since COVID, we have seen this rise of user. Let's move ahead. And as Dr. Karibasappa said, that now we need to understand the effects of this media violence on mental health, as we are discussing the topic media violence and its effects on mental health. So let's understand this from Dr. Taj.
Yes, sir, sure.
Please.
So, as likely Dr. Karibasappa sir suggesting that it is unavoidable. So, what are the media we are watching? We, the people, adults, youth, children, we are watching. It is just unstoppable, unavoidable. In the sense that is, it has become an integral part of our daily life. So, like rightly, he was telling about whatever the newspaper you can use, you can just see any other censored newses. You can on the TV, internet, all the social medias are now becoming, we don't know where we are becoming aggressive behaviors, or when we are adopting this kind of such habits, we are forgetting, we are indulged, like we are so much dependable on this. And it becomes necessity for each and every household. It has become unimaginable to think a house without a TV set or a person without having access to internet. It is even though if it is in case we are accessing internet, so overall it is not like that just we are utilizing for the purpose of study or something. It is just highly accessing. It is to be high end. Obviously, it is a convenient and relatively less expensive source of information and entertainment. We are using it as an instrument to update, inform, and abuse children about different issues and diversity around the world on day-to-day basis. So that the use of these medias varies from one person or community, or it may be a social, cultural, demographic, and psychological phase of all the individuals. So interactive media like such as especially video games and internet, relatively a new media which forms exposure online to violent senses. It has been associated with increased such as aggressive behavior. So when we talk about the effects of media violence on the child's health or mental health, it will become impaired attention. So this is what which also leads to ADHD, that is also linked to impulsive aggression. And then even we can say social isolation, because then still they are also always be watching the TV programs or video games. So then they will become as a social isolated for themselves. They don't want to go outside and they don't want to discuss their problems. So this can become a disorder. So internet gaming or design is also which can be a possibility where involvement in a gaming leads to significant impairment. And then desensitization to media, which violence and aggression can spill into real life, where a child is not as bothered when they watch aggression, because it is quietly happening completely as a subconsciously. So when they are starting playing these things, automatically they will they started these playing these things. Okay, so what social isolation has does, it is a tendency which can be engaged in antisocial acts or delinquency. And then it can lead also for fear and anxiety. Perception to the world as most dangerous than it is really, it can lead to fear and anxiety, and which may also increase in frequency of nightmares. So they are getting fear and they are not getting enough sleep, which also can cause for their mental health. Poor conflict resolution and interpersonal skills are likely they can be developed among the children. And such issues with psychological adjustment and performance in school we can see, so since this kind of children. And even a lot of possibilities of societal behavior is also the negative effect of media violence that we can see.
Right.
And like especially when the children are watching TV programs, when we'll talk about especially for the TV programs, even though the children are influenced by media, they learn by observing, imitating, adopting behaviors, several different psychological and physiological process which will be there. So furthermore, what we can say, because children are younger, those who are the younger than 8 years, they cannot discriminate between what is good, what is bad. So just what they are watching in the movie, they want to try it. Just they will imitate it. Especially it is vulnerable to like some of these learning process and maybe thereby more influenced by media violence. However, even older adolescents, also young adults, like adversely affected by consumption of media violence, demonstrating that the ability of discrimination between like fantasy and reality. So, what is the fantasy? What is reality? And it does not inculcate with the form of effect of media of violence also. Yes, sir.
जी बिल्कुल थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर शेयरिंग दिस इंसाइट ऑन दिस टॉपिक और हम सब ये देख रहे हैं कि जो वायलेंस है या किसी भी प्रकार का मीडिया है उसका जो इम्पैक्ट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है एज वी हैव सीन सच इम्पॉर्टेंट इशू ड्यूरिंग द रिलीज ऑफ पुष्पा यहाँ पर हमें ये कहना चाहिए कि हम यहाँ पर किसी पब्लिसाइज नहीं कर रहे हैं किसी मूवी को अल्लू अर्जुन ने उसको जो है उसमें एक्ट किया और एक छोटे बच्चे का सोशल मीडिया पर वीडियो वायरल हुआ था जिसमें उसकी माँ या उसके फादर उसको पीट रहे हैं एंड ही वॉज कॉन्स्टेंटली इमिटेटिंग हिज डायलॉग कि मैं झुकूंगा नहीं क्यों क्योंकि उसके अंदर इतना अग्रेशन था उसका इतना इम्पैक्ट था मूवी का ये जो आपने कहा कि मीडिया वायलेंस का जो इम्पैक्ट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा इसीलिए है क्योंकि वो सीधे जो है कहीं ना कहीं कनेक्ट करता है जहन में और वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंटेंट होता है so before producing we have to think about all these things. Let's move ahead. Thank you for choosing this wonderful topic pehle to aapko let's move ahead and let's now focus on the solution how we can cope up because this content is available and this can be available on online mode but हमारे जो बच्चे हैं उन्हें पढ़ना भी है उन्हें अपनी डिवाइसेस यूज भी करनी है stay connected to the peer group etc so how we can provide them to cope up with this media violence and the impact of it. So this is the question arises for the counselor. So Dr. Karibasappa, please.
Okay, as I gave you the analogy, like we can have the ways of reduce the vulnerability. We are immersed in the media. We cannot live without media. So the one of the important thing is explain the consequences. First thing, you can talk to them how it is affecting. These nowadays children are really smart. Then we need to talk to them what are the consequences out of using consuming media violence. The first one. Second one is limiting the number of media tools. It is in the parents' hand. Like if any child is seeing something very interesting, definitely they want to use it. So reduce the tools, availability of the tools and organize accessibility, time and purpose. That is the very important thing. Teach them what is the purpose of using media and what is how much time and don't deviate from the purpose and please be I will always tell the parents like whenever you are doing any surfing or anything with the media please be there with your children
right
and give the feedback and next one is develop constructive entertainment time and this is the one thing I also give you many parents do mistake by giving the media as a reinforcement. That is not right.
Right.
Make sure
Agreed,
do
sir.
not give or do not put as a media as a positive reinforcement time. It is a purposeful activity and media as an using media as an relaxing or entertainment, not right. Please make sure take your children outside, take it to park, walk, jog. There are many other activities you can do. Please avoid media. And create organized and meaningful routine. This is the very important thing. Whenever I work with children, they have a problem with media, they don't have organized routine. If you have an organized routine, you don't have any place for your media or access of the media. Next one is monitor what type of content children are accessing. Very important thing. It is very important thing. Please make sure all the parents watch what they are doing. And all the parents, please, media has a parent lock or child lock. Learn that.
Right.
Every media has a child lock. Involve in creative activity. This is the very important thing. If you learn or if you teach them, involve your children in creative activity or habit. I am assure you more than 80% of the children don't access your media. Respective activity apart from media. And develop a critical thinking skills. This is the one of the thing you can teach. like why am I accessing? How much advantage? Is it advantage for me or disadvantage for me? Is it very useful for me or not? Am I going to get a really good output or not? Teach the critical thinking skill so that they will decide, do I need what type media or not, so that they can avoid media tools. Especially parental control on internet gadget, I told you it is available on all the gadgets, and you need to learn. Avoid internet time as a reinforcement for your children. Please do not do this one.
Right.
It is
right.
very and one of the unfortunate thing in our country, 1 year and 2 year children are easily they are giving the cell phone. It is not at all recommendable.
Right.
They should not get any type of media. Next one is, it is a very important thing. Develop a conflict resolution skills. React in a constructive way. Some of the children are already infected. They have aggressive behavior.
Sir, please conclude. Sir, please conclude.
Yes, sir. For them, please make sure we are living in the media. Please make sure you protect your children carefully. Media is not really good, but it is disadvantages are more. It is the time to protect our children from the media violence, to create a healthy mental hygiene or mental health.
Right. Agreed. So all these tips will help you in many regards if you practice it regularly. थोड़ा सा मुश्किल ज़रूर होगा, but thank you very much, Dr. Kariba Sappa, for these tips and the various aspects of this topic. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. And also,
thank you.
And also, Dr. Taj, आपका भी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत आभार कि आपने इस विषय का चुनाव किया और आज हमारे लिए सहयोग सेक्शन आप लेकर आए. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
हमारा ये सहयोग सेशन हम यही समाप्त करेंगे, लेकिन आप कहीं मत जाइएगा, आप जुड़े रहिए हमारे साथ. अभी थोड़ी ही देर में लेकर हाजिर होते हैं हम अपनी अगली पेशकश, जो कि खास पेशकश है. आज के दिन हम आपके लिए लेकर आते हैं स्कूल लीडरशिप प्रोग्राम का आज हमारा कार्यक्रम है, जो अभी कुछ ही देर में हम लेकर हाजिर होंगे. देखते रहिए, जुड़े रहिए eVidya चैनल्स और NCERT के ऑफिशियल यूट्यूब चैनल के साथ. नमस्कार.